Hello everybody, Sim here, and I'm here today for a little bit different kind of video, one I haven't done before. It's going to be a tutorial series on mobs. Uh, this is going to cover mob spawning, mob control, sorting, anything along those lines that has to do with mobs. And I will not only be covering what you can do in vanilla, I will also be attempting to cover what you can do in modded Minecraft. That said, we're going to start with vanilla. So the first two videos are going to be with vanilla, and the next are going to be with modded Minecraft. Now, you might wonder why you just saw Magma Cube over here. That's because I am on my gaming community's server, and my gaming community is Digital Impulse Gaming, and this is a public server, which information I will have in the description, so be sure to check that out after the video. It is a public server, and we would love to have you come and play. We are a PvP server with a PvE world, and we have factions and several other plugins for Bucket, so come and check us out. We'd love to have you. But for now, I am going to go ahead and take you into my little redstone world to tell you what we've got in store and what you'll be expecting from this video. So I'll see you in a second. Alright guys, I'm back here and I am in my little build world where I have set up a nice array of essentially test machines to illustrate you basic mechanics behind mob spawners, as well as basic setup of a mob grinder. And then further for this video, I'm also going to touch on basic mob sorting, so you can set that up in your own world. Now, I've specifically used glass here so that you have, an accurate measurement, so you can actually see how big the rooms are and what you need to do. So let's go ahead and get started here. And what we're going to do is, this here is basically just a room to show you the max size or max range that a spawner is going to have. So standing right here is where we've got our spawner. So it can spawn 4 blocks to the left, 4 blocks to the right, 4 blocks forward, backward, then also 2 blocks up and down. So if you can put the math there, that's going to be a 9 by 9 by 5 room. And that is on the inside. Now if you're building an a wall like this, like I did, it's going to be 11 by 11 by 5. Or, sorry, by 7. So that is the basic spawning area for mob spawners, for vanilla mob spawners. So what I'm going to do now is show you how you can actually control how to transport mobs. So you can't actually keep them with this. So you'll notice only a few mobs have spawned. Well, only, I believe, around 16 mobs can be within the range of the actual mob spawner. So you have to transport them away from it so that it can continually spawn mobs and get yourself a nice build up for, say, a mob grinder. So you do this by using water. Now, mobs by default will, all but slimes, in fact, which I'll get to later, try to swim up, and they will try to be at the very top of the water. So you can take advantage of this in what is called a water elevator. So basically you have a water source block, then a space, then another source block, and it's just enough so that the mobs will continually swim upward. And eventually he'll get to the top here where he is then pushed off to the side. So that is a basic water elevator. This can be used for hostile mobs, neutral mobs, things like villagers, sheep, cows, pigs, anything like that. Now, the animals are typically Sometimes you have to punch them to get them to jump and get up the water elevator, but that's pretty simple to do. So let's go over how you set up a actual mob grinder. So this is the basic setup for the room here. I know it's a little dark, but please bear with me. It's the same dimensions as the other room over there, except where this is the 2 down floor right here. I have 1 block in either of these corners, which has water on it, which, as you could see right here, is pushing them all this direction. However, about right here is where water stops flowing. So you have to dig down and make like a sub-layer here so that it drops water down. So it'll be easy to see because water will be stopped once it gets to these blocks here. So the skeletons will be pushed in to that little doorway there where they hit the water and they have to jump up, and they'll swim up and up and up into the water elevator, which if I can get out my door here, we'll show you. Just brings them all the way up top here, where they then fall. And now here's the tricky part. Mobs, normal mobs, so things like zombies, skeletons, spiders, creepers, those kinds of things, can fall 23 blocks and not die. They'll have about half a heart left once they get there. So as you can see here, we have a bunch of mobs, and I can just punch them once and they die. And I can get the items by hitting the little lever there, and it's all nice and good. So let me show you a little bit of the redstone. It's pretty simple. You just have a lever here, this block, you got redstone under it, then you got an inverter heading to a piston, which basically the use of the piston here is to lower this so that when they fall, they just die instead of surviving. So that is the only purpose for that. This one here is just so that it can push the items to the front and give it to you. Now, nice little trick with these, if you take a healing potion, a splash healing potion, you can actually toss that at them. And with undead creatures, so things like zombies and skeletons, you can actually toss the healing potion and it will kill them. Now, this does not work if you toss a harming potion. Harming potion on undead characters actually heals them, so not a good idea. But harming potion would work on things like spiders and witches, which I will not be getting on how to sort witches in this video here. I haven't quite figured that one out, but we'll get to that eventually. So, on to a little bit of the sorting mechanics. This here is a system set up to sort creepers. Now, this takes advantage of the fact that creepers hate cats. They will run away from cats. So, let me push the button here. We spawn ourselves a creeper. He goes in front of the cats here. He sees them. He'll be terrified in a moment, and he'll try to pathfind away from them. Eventually, he'll find his way here. If you have a larger platform, it happens quicker. But eventually he'll pathfind his way in here, and because there's trapdoors, he will think he can walk on it, but he can't, so he falls into it. So, as I said before, if there's a bigger platform here, he would probably pathfind faster. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, much better. But also, if you have 2 to 3 cats, it seems to work best. So, I mean, when you have 1 cat there, it doesn't work terribly well. So you need 2 to 3, and it tends to work pretty decently. So, yeah. Anyway, that is how you sort creepers. Very simple. Now, you can take advantage of this little trapdoor trick with a lot of different mobs, and I will be showing you how to do that, one, with zombies now. Zombies are very interesting in the fact that they hate villagers. They will always try to eat the villagers. So you just have a villager set up to where he's safe and within view of the zombie, and he will typically fall in the hole. But because I don't have this walled off exactly, he won't always fall in the hole here. But you can set it up easily enough to where he will always fall in the hole. Typically, the best way to do that is to have actually both of these little blocks here to be like so. If I could... Come on, zombies. Sorry about this. Anyway, so if you have it set up like this, the zombies will fall in a lot more often. Though sometimes they will, since I don't have this set up perfectly, which this is actually how you would have it set up in a sorter. So, here we go. Now they should all fall in there. Yes. So yeah, from here you would move into something like this, which I will show you when we get to slimes. So now I am going to show you how one way that you can sort skeletons. And for some reason this little guy keeps dying. But for skeletons, it's not as easy. So you have two options here that I know of. One is to have something attack the skeleton, and he will then run towards it and try to kill it. In this case, I've got my little snowman here. Hits the skeleton. Skeleton runs towards him and falls in the hole. So that is one option. Skeletons, however, can hit this guy. So if you wanted to, you could set this up with a little redstone trick to where if whenever it lands onto this pressure plate or something similar, you can have a piston on a timer that retracts here, retracts this piece of glass, so that the snowman can actually hit the skeleton, but then it closes after a second or two so that the skeleton cannot find him. So you would have also a hole here and a way that the skeleton could, in theory, run to him, but because you've got these here, he wouldn't actually be able to run towards him. So that is one way to sort skeletons. The other way is that if there's nothing for the skeleton to attack, he tends to just sit there. So you could just have it to where whenever he lands on the bottom, there's a timer, and if it stands there long enough, he'll just end up falling out. So that is an option there as well. So that's two ways that you can sort your skeletons. Now, we're going to move on to spiders, which are probably one of the easiest ones to do. Slimes are also pretty darn easy. So, with spiders, it's easy because they are 2 by 2 by 1. So they are 1 tall, and they can go through a 1 tall opening. So you just have something like this, and they are forced through, and no other mobs can get through. So that's the easy way to sort your spiders. So, since I don't really think that needs much more explanation other than the visual one right here, we're going to go ahead and move on to slimes. So, slimes are fun. The reason for that is they sink. They do not float. They are the one exception to the rule that mobs like to be on top of the water. So you can have something simple like this, to where mobs fall through, they land in water, hit by a lava blade, split, and then they're the tiny slimes. Now, this is not the most perfect design. Slimes do tend to die in this. I'm not claiming that this is the end-all design for this. However, it is a decent one because you can still use things like skeletons and zombies. Now, this also does take advantage of the water elevator effect, so you'll notice we have a few layers here, which I haven't filled this one in, because I haven't seen that I've needed it. So skeletons and those that want to can still come up here and fall down. Now, if you wanted this to also handle spiders, you can, but you would not want this space here, because spiders, as I mentioned before, are 1 tall, so they do not exactly work the same in a water elevator. Now, that's also why you don't typically make a mob grinder like this from a spider spawner. So, in recap, if you want this to be spiders, you need this level full of water, and then over here is where you get the drop. Now, from here you would do a secondary sorter. So you sort your skeleton, your spiders, and your slimes first. Then from here, you would go into systems such as you would have cats, where this is right here. Creepers would run this direction. Then you would have a villager stationed right about here. Then you would have holes, say, down there to where they would fall in. The zombies would rush forward, fall down the hole, get shunted into wherever you would like to store them temporarily, and everything would be hunky-dory from there. So, and as I mentioned before, you could also have a thing for the skeletons that if they just don't move because they are, one, not afraid of cats, and two, don't care about the villager, you could have a little pressure plate or a tripwire right up here to where when they pass this, it signals a redstone timer, which then drops them below to be sorted accordingly, and then replaces the block. So that is a general idea on how you could build a mob sorter, and I may go into detail and show you a working mob sorter in the future, but I do not have one built at this time. However, this is your general catcher, or your general funnel for that process. So, from here, you sort the skeletons, zombies, and creepers. From here, you have your spiders. And from the main shaft, you have your slimes. So, this has been a quick tutorial on how to set up a mob grinder, basic spawning mechanics of your mob spawners, as well as your basic sorting mechanics for the various mobs. Now, this is going to be a multi-part series, so I am going to be making another video covering how to spawn mobs and make mob grinders without the use of vanilla spawners. So, expect in the next video for me to have several designs up here for you to be able to create mob grinders without having to search endless hours for these spawners. So, until then guys, take it easy.